With Overwatch 2's shift to 5v5 and its major impact on hero balance, what would happen now that the game is testing out going back to 6v6? How would it change characters like Brigitte? Right now, Brigitte is a counter dive off tank character that anchors in the backline while enabling DPS. As Brigitte in Season 15, you want to stop incoming aggression from the enemy team and live as long as possible while shutting down ultimates with your rally. But how do these rules change when we go to 6v6? Can Brigitte keep up with another tank diving her? Can she keep her team healed up more? If you played at the end of Overwatch 1, Brig looked a little bit different. Rally used to continuously give armor to her team and herself with no big shield, but she always had stun on her shield bash. When Overwatch 2 first came out, a lot of people were asking me which Brig I preferred, and I always said I liked shield bash stun in Overwatch 1 due to more characters and abilities that needed to be shut down, but preferred Overwatch 2's movement and damage shield bash for more of the shooter-based 5v5 environment. Here's something that's also big that changed. When you played support in 6v6, there was a surprising less amount of pressure on you in terms of damage. So much so that surviving in the beginning of Season 1 on Overwatch 2 was very hard on support and took a lot of adjusting. Brigitte's current strengths and weaknesses rely on her ability to peel support teammates with healing and disrupting the enemy dive compositions. While she definitely isn't the highest damage character, she definitely struggles against a lot of burst damage and long-range damage dealers too, especially in the 5v5 environment. I feel that with less teammates in the 5v5 environment, Brig is weaker because of the lack of an extra tank sometimes can stretch you out almost too thin. Some games you need the extra space creation, but you also need the extra peel in the backline. Adding an extra tank back will help support Brig in choosing one of these roles. Well, how would 6v6 change Brigitte's impact? Well, we're going to have more teammates to support, meaning Brig could potentially have a larger impact with her healing and rallying. Firstly, 6v6, while probably on the surface, means Brigitte heals and damages more. Inspire on an extra teammate will add much more over a match, and an extra tank to swing on will add faster rallies if you can live. The return of a second tank could allow Brig to more easily protect teammates though, and play that definitely more frontline oriented role. The return of a second tank gives Brigitte more opportunities to synergize with tanks, especially with her rally ultimate, and the ability to engage alongside a tank. One of my favorite Brig comps of all time back in the day was a Sigma Ball Brig comp, pairing it with another support like Zen or Baptiste. You could stick as a core with Sigma to brawl while still being with your other support in the backline. 5v5 doesn't work with this as well, as DPS have more space to get around one of those tanks. It also could lead to better protection for her, allowing her to stay in the fight longer without being as vulnerable to dive or burst damage, and you'll have more room for your utility. And having more people on the battlefield could make Whipshot more valuable for disrupting enemies or peeling teammates to really stop their engages. So what are some of the problems that Brig could face in 6v6? With 6 players on each side, it may become harder for Brig to get value out of her utility. As fights may become chaotic, she could easily be overshadowed by more prominent damage dealing or healing supports. There is such thing as too much dive on Brig, and you could get bulldozed if their team is effective at diving, or if they aren't diving you, someone else could be getting run over. In 6v6, Brig could be facing more pressure to be more of that hybrid, both support and tank, blurring the role and potentially stepping onto the toes of other heroes. Brig may even turn too generic of trying to mix tanking with supporting and doing it too much, especially against the wrong composition, so that might take time to adjust with what their team is running and what it means for your playstyle. And the extra tank doesn't necessarily negate dive comps or fast-paced team play, which could make Brig's role more challenging if the enemy team runs multiple dive heroes. Will Brig be able to really keep up with the healing? An extra tank will draw more packs out of you, especially with a bad other support. So I may find that trying to keep people up with Inspire may become more important than ever. So does Brig need any potential buffs or adjustments heading back into 6v6? We may need to adjust a little bit with some of her numbers, but overall I don't think she would need much changes. Your ultimate though will probably be even more squishy than it already is, making it harder to get lasting effectiveness on it. An extra tank will for sure add tons of extra damage to a game. Shield Bash will probably be fine on a 5-second cooldown, as that's lower than it was than in Overwatch 1. In terms of her shield health, she also still had 250 at the end of Overwatch 1, so maybe we could add it back to 300, but overall I really don't see a lot of changes needed for Brig, especially with now her packs doing some burst healing. That will definitely help to get more utility out of her in 6v6, especially when you're pocketing DPS. I'm excited. I think 6v6 makes support feel more like support and less like a DPS healer. Sure, we'll have crazy games, but I think it will be more fun to be able to really dive into how the support players play and what you need to do in order to win, rather than just straight up killing everybody and winning that way. Overall, Brig really hasn't changed too much, and I think she will do very well in 6v6, and I think the extra synergy just with extra teammates really is what makes Brig super fun too, so 6v6 really could revitalize the character and bring some new challenges that I'm really excited for. Would Brigitte become more of a central figure in 6v6, or would she still struggle to find her place? Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks so much for watching.